Welcome to this YouTube channel devoted to the design, construction, and operation of my N-scale model railway. In this video, I will share with you the process of generating my layout design back in 2005 and how it was subsequently adapted for a new room after a move in 2021. If you haven't seen the previous video on the prototype I have chosen to model, that is also available on this channel. My layout was located originally in an apartment bedroom measuring approximately 11 by 13 feet overall. As seen in these photographs, there was an entry door and closet on the east wall and a window on the west wall. There were no obstructions along the north or south walls. The room needed to remain functional as a bedroom and a workshop, so the layout would have to accommodate a bed and desk in the same room. Storage space was also desired both above and below the layout. A double-deck design would provide maximum running distance in the available space. The 2 yards would be stacked one above the other along one wall with a helix between decks at the other end. The remaining space would be allocated to a series of vignettes selected for inclusion on the layout. As shown in the previous video, the following locations were selected either for operational or scenic interest. Chetwynd Yard, which was the center of operations for this portion of the railway. Along the Dawson Creek subdivision, I wanted to include Sundance siding, the Highway 97 overpass and the Pine River Bridge, Tremblay siding, the Kaskatinaw River Bridge, and Dawson Creek. And on the Fort St. John subdivision, I wanted to have Septimus siding, where northbound and southbound trains met to exchange tonnage. After some measurements and early sketches, I arrived at the following layout design. On the left is the plan for the lower deck. Chetwynd is along the left wall, Sundance siding is in the middle section, and the Highway 97 overpass, Pine River Bridge, and helix are along the right wall. The Fort St. John subdivision, which leads to Septimus, curves in behind Sundance. There was a plan to go through the wall into an adjacent room for south staging. This is indicated at the bottom of the page. However, this was never built. On the right is the plan for the upper deck. Emerging from the helix at right, the line passes through Tremblay along the right wall, then across Kaskatinaw River in the center, and then into Dawson Creek along the left wall. An important consideration with multi-deck designs is the height and depth of your benchwork at each level. To determine this, I created some cross-section sketches, and I also used some deck separation mock-ups to see what various heights would look like. I used small modules stacked on video cassettes, which are 1 inch, to make adjustments until I arrived at the heights I wanted. I eventually settled on heights of 42 inches for the lower deck and 57 inches for the upper deck. To further visualize what the layout might look like, I used a 3D rendering software, in this case Google SketchUp, to model the intended benchwork sections. These screenshots show how 3D software can aid in visualizing a layout before it is built. This could be taken one step further to create an actual model of the layout. And I did build a model of the wall that includes the helix, Pine River, and Tremblay, just to really see what that was going to look like. These photographs show the layout upon completion of the benchwork and lighting in November of 2010. In addition to the upper and lower decks, you can see that there is a third level, which acts as a lighting valance for the upper deck. The lighting for the lower deck is underneath the upper deck. You can see that the layout fits around the bed and desk as intended. The LED lighting, which is underneath the upper deck, and the top valance is the only lighting in the room. The apartment in which the layout was located is on the 12th floor. This dictated modular construction, with each section having to be designed to fit into the elevator, and also through doors. A key requirement of the layout build was the provision for rapid disassembly in the event of suite damage, renovations, or a possible future move. Some elements of the layout design and build included minimal support structure, sectional benchwork, sectional wiring with terminal blocks at benchwork joints, sectional track with half rail joiners at benchwork joints, and removable structures. To minimize support structure and impact on the walls, the layout was designed to sit on proprietary shelving uprights and brackets. I used the Rubbermaid twin-track shelving system, which was sourced from Home Depot. This is the north wall with supports for the Highway 97 and Pine River sections below, Tremblay above, and the lighting valance on top. Each section of the layout was designed and built as a self-contained unit with its own structure, fascia, and backdrop. Each section had to fit into the elevator and also through single doors. In this photograph, we see the sections for Highway 97 and Pine River below, and the sections for Tremblay above. In this photograph, the top lighting valance is not yet in place. For each layout section, the wiring would be self-contained, with terminal blocks and joints between sections for easy disconnections. This view is underneath Chetwynd Yard. On each section, the trackwork has half-length rail joiners at the edges. These can be slid back for easy disconnection and separation without having to damage the track. In July of 2021, I moved to a larger apartment in an adjacent building, and it became necessary to dismantle and move the layout. The sectional design considerations proved successful as the layout was able to be dismantled without the need to cut any track or wiring. The layout sections were lifted off the brackets, taken down in the elevator, carried over to the new building, and taken up in the elevator to the new apartment. They were stored in the new layout room until preparation of the room and modifications to the layout sections could be made. The new layout room measures approximately 10 by 15 feet overall, so it is about a foot narrower but 2 feet longer. Like the previous location, the entry door and closet are on the east wall, and a full-length window is located along the west wall. The south wall has a build-out for heating pipes, which presented a challenge for positioning layout sections there. There were no obstructions along the north wall. Unlike the previous apartment, this was one of 2 bedrooms, so the new layout room would not have to accommodate a bed or a work desk. The new room required several changes to the design, mainly due to the reduced width. The section for Septimus and Sundance sidings would have to be shortened, thus reducing these sidings in length. The additional length offered an opportunity to lengthen the yards at Chetwynd and Dawson Creek by about 2 feet. The extra space at Chetwynd was particularly valuable as it meant that the shop track and the Canfor mill trackage could be increased in capacity, and the Imperial oil spur could be moved to its correct location. The new closet is a much larger walk-in type and offered space for a staging yard south of Chetwynd on the lower deck and an NAR interchange at Dawson Creek on the upper deck. There was also room in the closet for a dispatcher's desk. To address the loss of space for Septimus, I elected to reroute the Fort St. John subdivision behind the Pine River benchwork and then through the wall to the adjacent room where there was additional space for a longer version of Septimus sidings. The original Septimus siding was reduced to a single siding and repurposed as bond siding, which is located between Chetwynd and Septimus. The trains to and from Septimus now have a longer run, and Septimus has been relocated from behind a scenic ridge to out in the open, with the main line oriented towards the operator, which is better for the switching movements that are going to occur there. The changes to the layout design required new sections for the extensions to Chetwynd and Dawson Creek, the rerouting of the Fort St. John subdivision, and the new south staging yard and NAR interchange. The sections for Bond and Sundance and Cascatinaw required shortening to fit into the new layout room due to the reduced width. The support system of uprights and brackets worked well over the years, and this was reused in the new layout room. Along the south wall, a new false wall was built to match the build-out, and this was installed to create a flush wall for hanging the 2 yards along this wall. The height of the 2 decks had also worked well, and this was duplicated in the new room. After measurements in the new room, I came up with the following revised design for the layout in its new home. On the left is the lower deck, with the new south staging and dispatcher's desk in the closet at the bottom of the page. Chetwynd Yard appears in its original location along the left wall, with the additional length allocated to the shop track, new Imperial oil spur, and the camphor mill. A shortened Sundance siding is in the middle section, and on the right the sections for the Highway 97 overpass, Pine River Bridge, and the Helix are seen. These sections are unaltered. The Fort St. John subdivision extends behind Sundance through Bond siding, and then behind the Pine River benchwork and into the next room for Septimus sidings. On the right is the plan for the upper deck. On the right is the Helix and the Tremblay siding, and the Kiskatinaw River scene is in the middle section. And of course that has been shortened. Dawson Creek is on the left wall, with the additional space given to the grocery warehouse and the 21st Street grade crossing. The new NER interchange is in the closet at bottom left. The new design offers additional operational interest, with the ability to run trains in and out of Chetwynd to and from the south, longer trains going to and from Septimus, and the new NER interchange at Dawson Creek. The original sectional design and construction of the layout enabled it to be dismantled and moved with little damage, and it has enabled it to be installed in the new room with fairly modest modifications. In this photograph, we can see the layout dismantled and stored in the new room. I would like to thank the following individuals who were helpful during the research and design of my layout. And I hope that you've enjoyed this look at the process of designing my layout. If you have, I invite you to like and subscribe to this channel and to visit my website at www.bcrdawsonsub.ca. Thank you for watching, and I hope to share future video presentations with you soon. The next videos will illustrate the construction of the layout. Until then, peace be with you.